Okay. I'm a graduating senior named Sam Stern, who's a psychology major with aspirations of becoming a school psychologist. And while I may be presenting on combating truancy now, I was habitually truant during high school and learned firsthand how damaging its effects can be on one's social life, development, and future academic and occupational prospects. So, although I overcame those adversities and developed an ironic passion for education, this story would have been completely different if it wasn't for my class privileges, which allowed me to get the assistance I needed. And this realization helped create an internal desire within me to help others, especially those with less privilege, successfully navigate through similar difficulties. And that's what motivated me to get into this field. However, after doing research and work related to school psychology for around a year, I've been stunned at how little truancy intervention or prevention is discussed. To demonstrate why I think this is so perplexing, I'll just pose one question for consideration. If school-based mental health professionals' main job is to help students progress through their K through 12 education, shouldn't ensuring that they just stay enrolled arguably be their top priority? Now, before jumping into a more detailed assessment of truancy, let me pose this one question to showcase the immediate threat that it poses. Uh, what is the percentage of truants that you would, or was the percentage of the population which you would believe is truant? And as this shows, 16% of students regularly fail to attend school, and the already disadvantaged minority students are disproportionately impacted by this issue. Now, truancy is characterized by repeated unexcused absences, which occur on at least 10% of school days and is frequently associated with comorbidities such as substance use, violent or criminal behavior, and subpar levels of parent or guardian supervision. Additionally, one important characteristic to mention is how factors related to truancy are seen across various environments, which emphasizes how unique the nature of truancy is in each individual case. Adding to the complexity of truancy is the current COVID pandemic, which according to AttendanceWorks and other reputable sources has led to dramatic surges in rates of truancy as well as harm students' grade point average and lessen their overall school enjoyment, all of which are predictors of truancy. So also considering how already disadvantaged minority students are prone to have less good technology and things like that, school psychologists are going to be faced with an even more difficult issue regarding truancy when school returns to normal. Now, as this imagery alludes to, truancy is not the same thing as taking the occasional sick day or playing hooky. It's a progressively debilitating condition that after only 1 year makes a student 6 times more likely to drop out or be held back, and is correlated with increasing rates of absences, drug use, mental issues, and other social or behavioral difficulties if it's not properly addressed. Currently, truancy cases are dealt with in a variety of ways, ranging from law enforcement involvement to court punishments, and which is often done in a misguided fashion through things like suspending students who already don't want to be in school from school. Moreover, intervention efforts tried by school psychologists have largely been ineffective too, and a lack of nationally recognized best practice standards has also made the situation more difficult. One thing is clear, however, and that is traditional approaches to intervention and prevention are not ideal for combating truancy. Instead, efforts need to reflect the individually specific causes of truancy, which would require school psychologists and social workers to expand their purview and collaborate at higher rates to understand students' home life, social life, and school life in a much more holistic way. Now, those at risk are mostly adolescents, and particularly those who are already at disadvantage, whether it be regarding their mental struggles, socioeconomic status, or unstable home life. While all disadvantages are relevant, poverty seems to be a particularly powerful predictor of truancy as rates begin to dramatically fall in communities where less than 1 in 4 people are impoverished. Reasons for truancy are typically based around internal struggles or various elements present in the extracurricular environment, which are outside of the student's control. And when properly understood through collaborative efforts with relevant teachers, family members, and other community figures, can lead to a successful recovery and make that much more likely. Now, truancy represents arguably the most comorbid and progressively harmful phenomenon I've researched in the field of school psychology. And therefore, improving the ways in which professionals are equipped to deal with this complex occurrence is indescribably important towards child and adolescent development. One study illustrated this threat by reporting that upwards of 20% of previously truant students were either unemployed or uninvolved in education after 3 years of the onset of their truancy. And after 10 years, almost 30% still had psychiatric issues. Now, what needs to happen? The adoption of a holistic, multi-tiered, and engaged approach to addressing and preventing cases of truancy must occur within school systems to properly deal with this issue. Willing parents specifically are privy to a vast source of information which could shine a light on the underlying causes of school avoidance and could play a role in ensuring that play active roles in ensuring that their child adequately has supervision and other protective factors that can decrease the odds of their truancy continuing. Essentially, by considering a multitude of subsystems which influence a student's life and by making connections with stakeholders who are invested in their development, a support system can be developed to help a student who's struggling, which encompasses all major aspects of their life and thus facilitates improvement in a much more rapid and effective manner. This reflects a basic feature of human nature in which demonstrating acceptance and support towards someone consequently encourages their recovery. To showcase what this would look like in an applied intervention approach, I attached a graph of the one that I've embraced, which has a 3-tiered interconnected subsystem, which is focused on primary or early interventions, early prevention, as well as indicated intervention for the more intense cases. Moreover, efforts in each subsystem will be made by representatives of both school and community-based resources and will be tailored for students' unique individual challenges, which I've described previously. Unlike current practices, which are based on ineffective and oftentimes heavy-handed approaches, which could increase a student's aversion to school, my proposed approach is backed by large bodies of research, which have been spearheaded by UCLA's Center for Mental Health in Schools and aligns with Brofenbrenner's ecological or ecosystems model approach, which was the main theoretical underpinning to my initial research and led me to feel confident in this ultimate outcome. Now, after a great deal of thought, I concluded that creating a graduate level course for both school psychologists and school social workers would be the most effective way to produce immediate changes in the treatment of truancy, as it would equip incoming professionals with the skills to properly address the issue. Additionally, upon graduation, students can inform their coworkers about this approach and hopefully lead to it expanding. This class will be structured based on advice given by the renowned Derek Bach Center for Teaching and Learning at Harvard University, which promotes utilizing a learner-centered design, which centers around creating clear expectations, having engaged in discussion-based classes, and utilizing concrete evidence. Moreover, a variety of in-class assessments will be given frequently to ensure that focus is sustained and frequent opportunities for feedback will be made available so concerns are addressed quickly. Components of this course will be designed in a fashion which will promote student motivation and perceived value that students have about the material in which they are learning. Research has shown that things like providing firsthand examples of relevant applications, as well as having students engage in small group discussions to produce questions or concerns for the instructor to address potentially beneficial or non-beneficial applications, are important to ensuring that a good dynamic is produced. On top of that, guest speakers can be very motivating as well. Now, ideally, molding better prepared school psychologists and social workers to deal with the individual struggles proactively and in the most effective way possible will lead to a natural expansion of this proposed framework, as its success would incentivize other graduate programs to adopt similar courses, and school districts would ideally begin embracing this approach as their preferred technique to deal with truancy. And considering the widespread lack of any effective truancy treatment currently, such a goal is not that far-fetched. And thank you for listening.